Hi, Jen here from Jen Michelle Coaching, and today I want to talk about understanding the key differences between healthy love and unhealthy love. For those of you new to my channel, I would love to invite you to subscribe. I release a video weekly. Number one, self-responsibility and self-awareness. Self-responsibility means that we are going into relationship making sure that we are not asking to be rescued or saved from ourselves, right? Most of the music we listen to growing up, like a lot of pop music, for example, talks about being saved from ourselves, right? We can call this just like in Disney movies, right? She's asleep and waiting to be saved before she can have a great life. And so as women, I think there is like a strong subconscious pull to fall into this habit of waiting versus taking responsibility through enhancing our awareness. And so responsibility means that, yes, we're finding that sweet spot of interdependence versus being really codependent or being ultra independent, which is kind of like some ways in which we get pushed now, where it's like viewed negatively to admit that we're human and we need help and we need support and we're not meant to do everything all alone, right? That's a very different space to be in than expecting someone to save us from our problems or operating under the illusion that once something falls into place externally, that then we'll finally be happy. Because the truth is, if we can't be happy now, we will not be happy later. And I know that that can be really hard to wrap our minds around, because the mind can get really fixed and be like, oh yeah, no, I would. This one thing will happen, then I'll be happy. But you'll find that once that happens, if you haven't worked with this in an aligned way, another thing will pop up, and then there'll be another reason and another reason, and we end up kind of like chasing our tail our whole life, right? So this is the invitation to really not fall into this pattern of waiting, but to accept the things that we long for and want to have in our lives, but doing it from a space of empowerment. Can we allow ourselves to feel joyful and to feel happy and to feel connected in our process, versus saying that we're only willing to feel those things after we've gotten what we want, because it just doesn't work. Number two, can you own your mistakes versus deflect and kind of manipulate in real time? This is a really important quality when we're talking about having healthy love. Can we recognize in the middle of an argument, after we've said a bunch of regrettable things, that it's time to turn direction, or it's time to admit that maybe we weren't right about something? I cannot tell you how many times I have been caught in argument only to realize, after going into it from a triggered space and then like listening to my husband talk, that he's actually right. And in those moments, there's that choice to save face and double down, or there's that opportunity to say, you know what? You've just kind of shifted my thought process and you're right. I agree with you. So sometimes when we aren't really aware of what we're feeling or what's going on inside of us, we tend to double down and we end up distorting the truth or manipulating another to save face or to just be right, essentially. And there's a really deep humility that can come in and be activated when we're listening, and in that listening is a willingness to say, you know what? You just shifted my perspective. Thank you for that. I actually am going to stop the direction I was going and either kind of take a little space and feel my way through this, or own that I was wrong and that there is a whole other way of looking at this type of thing, or whatever the discussion's around, and to just have that deep humility that you bring into the relationship. This really invites in something powerful for the other person, because they will be willing to listen to you too and have more flexibility and fluidity to shift their perspective and to release some of those attachments or ways of thinking that they've over-identified with, or that they've held on to too tightly. Number 3, listening and hearing the truth versus grabbing onto things that aren't rooted in that. This requires, again, a conversation around being really connected and attuned to our bodies, right? Where maybe we aren't moving so quickly, right? Maybe we are looking at another person and we are slowing down in our process with them to look at them more generously, to look at them from a lens of love, to see what they're doing and have it be rooted in the truth versus like the ways in which we rationalize and distort seeing what we don't want to see. This is a powerful invitation for another where we just are open to who they are and we aren't attached to them being a certain way or needing to be all the things for us, but we just see who they are and we decide over time how that works for us or maybe how it doesn't, right? But we're not overly attached to it. This is where we are starting to recognize where our attachments can create this dishonesty or this internal manipulation within us. But when we go into it a little bit more detached and we're practicing the art of detachment, meaning that, we're seeing what is and we don't have to have it be all of the things for us. It's in this space that we create a healthy space for love because it's free. It's not rooted in survival. It's open. It's allowing. Oh, you're this, I'm that, and that's okay. And over time, you decide how that works for you and if it serves what you want or if it serves you going in a different direction. But you love yourself enough to see the difference, and the way in which you begin to embody this more and more is through detachment, through not feeding it having to be something external for you and really deepening in, okay, you're this, I'm that, let's see where it takes us. Just that openness, that willingness, and that fluidity. I would love to hear how this video supports you and anything that you are going through in your life and relationships right now. For those of you that are new to my work, I have a new offering called Becoming Truthfully You that you can download at jenmichellecoaching.com. I will link it below. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Much love.